All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children. And God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendis est. The Unsung Truth of Eros, written by Conrad Riker, available now. Links in description. Frefden, here's a thinking process. Analyze user input. Task, write one viral Substack title and subtitle separated by a single colon. It should sell the disrespect diagnostic instrument, the case study, and the mature male response. Output, only the title and subtitle. Write, I am not an angry man. I have built a life on showing up on time, under budget, without complaint. What I offer here is not a grievance. It is a measurement. For years, I treated each incident of disrespect as an isolated event, something to forgive and forget in the name of peace. But patterns do not forgive and they do not forget. The same tone, the same dismissal, the same inversion of reality, repeated until I began to doubt my own senses. That is the point at which a man must stop reacting and start recording. Disrespect is not a feeling, it is a data point. When her emotional state overrides objective facts, that is a data point. When my provision is treated as baseline obligation rather than voluntary gift, that is a data point. When my authority as father is undermined in front of the children, that is a data point. The man who fails to measure these things will find himself arguing the same losing case for a decade, wondering why his logic never lands. The answer is simple. You cannot win a game whose rules you refuse to name. This essay is that naming, it is a practical lens for pattern recognition, not a cry for sympathy. Mature male self-command begins with the courage to see what is actually happening, without the anesthetic of hope or the sedative of denial. I have kept this ledger not to build a case for court, but to build a case for my own sanity, because when your memory contradicts the household narrative, you begin to wonder if you're the one losing track. The record is your anchor. Let us begin. The disrespect pattern in plain view. A husband's ledger. I am not an angry man. I have built a life on showing up on time, under budget, without complaint. I have loved my wife for 14 years and have never raised a hand or a voice to her. What I offer here is not a grievance. It is a measurement. The kitchen table, it was a Tuesday. I had the bank statements printed and organized by category: household, schooling, medical, vehicle. I had found a recurring charge I didn't recognize, $340 a month to a yoga retreat membership she had opened 8 months prior without mentioning it. That came to $2,020 we hadn't discussed. I had recently declined a continuing education course for myself, because as we had agreed in January, we were directing surplus toward the children's orthodontic work. I placed the statement on the table and said, simply, can you walk me through this charge? She didn't look at the paper. She looked at me, her jaw tightened. Why are you interrogating me? I wasn't. I pointed to the line item. I'm asking about this expense because we agreed to tight margins this quarter. You're calling me a liar. I had not used that word or any synonym. I said, I'm asking about a charge, that's all. She stood up. You always do this. You sit there with your little spreadsheets and you make me feel like I'm on trial. Her voice had shifted into a register I had come to recognize, not sadness, not even anger exactly, but a kind of performance. It was the voice she used when she knew someone might overhear, and someone did. My mother was upstairs with the children. I could hear her footsteps pause on the landing. I said, "I'm not raising my voice. I'm asking a budget question. You can answer it or not, but I'd like to resolve it tonight." "Resolve it," she repeated. "You mean control it." She left the room. I sat with the statements. My mother came downstairs 10 minutes later and said carefully, "She's very upset. Maybe give her some space." I nodded. The charge was never addressed. It appeared again the following month, and the month after that the school email. "Our son, Thomas, is 10. He had been falling behind in math. I had been working with him on it in the evenings, 30 minutes a night, flashcards, multiplication tables, simple fractions. It was working. His teacher had emailed me to say his last quiz showed real improvement. My wife forwarded that same email to her mother and to 2 of her friends with the subject line "small win" and the message, "I've been really pushing the school to give him extra support." I only saw the email because her mother replied all. Accidentally, including the account we share for school communications, I didn't confront her about the lie directly. I had learned what that produced. Instead, at dinner, I mentioned to Thomas that I was proud of his quiz score and asked if he wanted to keep doing flashcards after dinner. My wife cut in, "Thomas, you don't have to if Dad's making it stressful." Sometimes Dad doesn't realize how much pressure he puts on people. Thomas looked at his plate. He didn't answer. He didn't look at me. A week later, I overheard him tell a friend at our house, "My mom helps me with math. My dad just makes it a whole thing." I was in the next room. I said nothing. The Saturday she told me she needed Saturday to herself. A sanity day, she said. I understood. I arranged coverage, took the children to the park, handled grocery shopping, made dinner, managed the laundry cycle I normally split with her. She left at 9 in the morning and returned at 7 in the evening. She seemed rested. She thanked me briefly, and I was glad to have given her the time. 2 weeks later, I asked if I could have a Saturday morning, 3 hours, to meet a friend I hadn't seen in a year. We were planning to hike a local trail and talk. Nothing elaborate. I gave her 9 days' notice. She agreed. But Friday night, she began, "I just think it's interesting that you get to disappear whenever you want, and I'm stuck here. You had last Saturday the full day, and I'm grateful for that, but I don't rub it in." I went on the hike. When I returned at noon, the house was tense. She didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. Thomas asked me quietly, "Dad, is Mom mad at you?" I said, "We're fine, buddy." We were not fine. But there was no vocabulary available to me to describe the asymmetry without being accused of minimizing her needs. Every time I named it, the naming itself became the evidence against me, the counseling session. She asked, demanded, eventually, that we see a therapist. I agreed. I wanted mediation. I wanted a neutral third party who could observe the pattern and help us name it. In the first session, the therapist asked each of us to describe a recent conflict. I described the kitchen table incident, the statement, the question, the escalation, the charge going unaddressed. Case study excerpt ends. Clinical diagnostic instrument for systemic male disposability via emotional jurisdiction, used by Institute for Men's Rights and Gamma Bias Research Red Pill Science. Measures the cumulative weight of institutional, familial, and interpersonal disrespect imposed on the male head of household, quantifying the erosion of his authority, resources, and dignity through the lens of female emotional currency and institutional gamma bias. Answer each line quickly from 1 to 5. Do not try to game the pattern. Some lines are deliberately protective and reverse scored. 1 minus not at all, 2 minus a little, 3 minus noticeably, 4 minus a lot, 5 minus totally. When I present factual evidence to contradict her emotional narrative, is my logic dismissed as tone or attitude regardless of accuracy? This person or institution respects my role, responsibilities, and stated boundaries even when we disagree. This person or institution can explain my strongest reasonable concern before answering it. Do the children view me as a source of comfort and protection, or as a strict enforcer to be managed and avoided? This person or institution corrects problems directly instead of recruiting children, friends, offices, or authorities into the conflict. This person or institution applies the same standard to my conduct and to their own. This person or institution treats my work, provision, sacrifice, and restraint as real contributions rather than invisible background service. Do I feel the need to constantly justify my presence in spaces, schools, parks, offices, to avoid being perceived as a threat? This person or institution accepts calm evidence without escalating to labels, insinuations, or reputation threats. Am I punished for speaking up, for being aggressive, and punished for staying silent, for being distant, with no winning move? This person or institution supports my lawful parental or household authority where it is reasonable and safe. In conflicts, is the status quo, her position, assumed to be correct? And am I presumed to be the disruptor until I prove otherwise? Are my traditional roles, provider, protector, mocked as outdated or oppressive without offering me equivalent autonomy in return? If the economy crashes, am I expected to absorb 100% of the loss while she retains her savings and the right to exit? When I recall an event differently, is my memory labeled as wrong or crazy until I apologize for my perception? This person or institution can apologize, repair, and change course when a claim against me proves false or exaggerated. Does she correct or contradict my parenting decisions in front of the children, signaling that my judgment is provisional? Do the children side with her against me in disputes, viewing me as the bad guy even when I am enforcing reasonable rules? This person or institution separates discomfort from danger and disagreement from harm. This person or institution helps preserve peace, order, and truth rather than converting every disagreement into a status contest. Scoring key, maximum score 100, research threshold 76 or higher. Forward items 1, 4, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18. Use the answer as the points. Protective reverse items 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, 16, 19, 20. Convert 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into 5 for 3, 2. Plain English. High agreement with a forward item raises the score. High agreement with a protective item lowers the score after decoding. 20 per 39. Low, the beta comfort zone. Disrespect is occasional and manageable. The man retains significant authority and is generally respected as a provider. From beta, implying subordinate but stable status within the hierarchy. 40 to 59, medium, the gamma grind, disrespect is recurring and systemic. The man is increasingly treated as a resource rather than a person, with authority eroding in key domains. From gamma, denoting the intermediate state of submission before total disposability. 60 per 75, high, the Atlas collapse, disrespect is structural and inescapable. The man bears the weight of the household and society, but is denied the right to define his own reality. From Atlas, the Titan condemned to hold up the sky, symbolizing silent, unacknowledged burden. 76 minus 100s, severe. The gilded cage, disrespect is total and institutionalized. The man is a prisoner of his own provision, with his dignity, assets, and children held hostage by emotional and legal leverage. From gilded, indicating a surface of privilege masking a reality of imprisonment. Disrespect analysis. There is a particular silence that settles over a man when he realizes his home is not a home, but a proceeding. He has not been charged. He has not been indicted. Yet he is perpetually on the stand, cross-examined by a prosecutor who rewrites the charges mid-sentence, presided over by a court that consists of whoever happens to be within earshot. The silence is not peace. It is the sound of a man who has learned that every word he speaks will be entered as evidence against him. I have read hundreds of these ledgers. They all sound the same after a while. Not because the men are the same. They are accountants, tradesmen, engineers, pastors, soldiers, fathers of 2, fathers of 5. But because the pattern is the same. The pattern does not care about your personality. It cares about your position. What follows is a practical guide to using the IMR disrespect checklist, a 20-item instrument designed to measure the cumulative erosion of a man's authority, dignity, and materials standing through the mechanism of female emotional currency and its institutional amplification. I will walk you through a real case study, not a composite, not a thought experiment, to show you how the instrument reads reality. Then I will explain why the pattern exists, what incentives sustain it, and what you can do about it that does not involve rage, groveling, or self-destruction. The checklist is not a clinical diagnosis. It does not pathologize anyone. It measures conduct, observable, datable, repeatable conduct, and converts it into a score that tells you whether what you are experiencing is ordinary relational friction or something far more systematic. Think of it as a Geiger counter for gamma radiation. The needle does not care about feelings. It clicks when the conditions are present, the disrespect pattern in the case study. The husband who wrote this ledger is not a crank. He is a man who printed bank statements, organized them by category, and placed them on a kitchen table on a Tuesday evening. That is what responsible men do. They bring receipts, they ask questions, they solve problems with the tools of ordinary accountability. Let us measure what happened to him. The kitchen table, reality defined unilaterally. He found a 340 monthly charge, 270.20 total, that his wife had incurred without discussion during a period when he had personally foregone a continuing education course because they had agreed to direct surplus toward their children's orthodontic work. This is not a misunderstanding. This is resource extraction without consent, followed by concealment, followed by the silent continuation of the charge after the confrontation. When he asked about it, calmly, specifically, with the document in front of her, she did not answer. She reframed the question, "Why are you interrogating me?" The factual inquiry was converted into an emotional accusation. The bank statement became a weapon she claimed he was wielding against her. This is the first dimension of disrespect the checklist captures, the unilateral definition of reality. When a man presents evidence, does his logic get dismissed as tone or attitude regardless of its accuracy? When he recalls an event differently, is his memory labeled wrong or crazy until he apologizes for his own perception? Notice the mechanism. She did not dispute the charge. She disputed his right to ask about it. She did not say, "I spent that and here is why." She said, in effect, "Your question is the problem." The charge became invisible. His inquiry became the offense. The checklist also measures the reverse, whether the other party can explain your strongest reasonable concern before answering it. Can she steelman his position? Can she say, "I understand that we agreed to tight margins and that this expense appears to violate that agreement, and here is my explanation"? She cannot. Or rather, she will not, because explaining would concede that his concern is legitimate, and legitimacy is the one thing she cannot afford to grant him. The charge was never addressed. It reappeared the following month. The school email, authority subversion and credit redirection. Their son Thomas was struggling in math. The father worked with him nightly, flashcards, multiplication tables, fractions. The teacher confirmed improvement via email. The mother forwarded that email to her mother and 2 friends, claiming credit. "I've been really pushing the school to give him extra support." She did not mention the father. She inserted herself into the achievement and erased him from it. This is not a miscommunication. This is authority subversion in parenting captured in a single forwarded message. But it gets worse, and here is where the checklist earns its salt, because it measures not single incidents but systems. At dinner, when the father mentioned the quiz score and offered to continue the flashcards, the mother interrupted in front of the child. "Thomas, you don't have to if Dad's making it stressful." Sometimes Dad doesn't realize how much pressure he puts on people. 2 things happened simultaneously. First, she recast his patient, successful tutoring as pressure and stress, emotionally rebranding his contribution as harm. Second, she positioned herself as the child's protector and him as the threat. The child looked at his plate. He did not answer. He did not look at his father. A week later, the boy repeated the narrative to a friend. "My mom helps me with math. My dad just makes it a whole thing." The father heard this from the next room. He said nothing. This is child recruitment into disrespect, and it is devastating precisely because it is deniable. She did not tell the child to say this. She created the conditions in which the child would naturally absorb and repeat it. The father's authority was not overthrown in a single confrontation. It was dissolved, one dinner table interruption at a time, until the child internalized a story in which the father's effort is a burden and the mother's absence is protection. The checklist asks, do the children view the father as a source of comfort and protection, or as a strict enforcer to be managed and avoided? Do they side with her against him in disputes, viewing him as the bad guy even when he is enforcing reasonable rules? Thomas is 10. He is already answering the Saturday. Asymmetry is normal. She needed a Saturday. A sanity day, he understood. He arranged full coverage, children, groceries, dinner, laundry. She left at 9, returned at 7, rested and briefly grateful. 2 weeks later, he asked for 3 hours on a Saturday morning. A hike with a friend he had not seen in a year. What followed is in the case study, but the outline is enough. The request was treated as an imposition, then as abandonment, then as evidence of selfishness. The asymmetry was total. Her day was a right. His morning was a negotiation he was destined to lose. The checklist captures this under financial and temporal disposability. If the economy crashes, is he expected to absorb 100% of the loss while she retains her savings and her exit option? If free time is distributed, does hers arrive as entitlement and his as a concession she grants under protest? The therapy session, when the institution joins the pattern. This is where the checklist shifts from measuring interpersonal dysfunction to measuring institutional capture. The couple entered therapy, or rather the wife entered therapy and brought her husband as the specimen. He described the kitchen table incident, the factual version, the bank statement, the question, the reframing. The therapist said, I hear you defending the facts, but can you sit with her experience? He tried. He said he understood she felt uncomfortable, but was concerned that if asking a budget question produced a feeling of unsafety, he did not know what he was permitted to ask. His wife looked at the therapist and said, see? He's doing it right now. The therapist nodded. That nod is the sound of institutional gamma bias sealing the coffin. In that consulting room, the grammar was fixed before the couple sat down. His calm was a mask. Her distress was data. His evidence was aggression. Her accusation was testimony. The checklist measures whether an institution applies the same standard to his conduct and to hers. It measures whether the institution separates discomfort from danger and disagreement from harm. It measures whether the institution accepts calm evidence without escalating to labels, insinuations, or reputation threats. This therapist failed every one of those measures. She did not fail because she was malicious. She failed because she had been trained in a framework where male agency is presumptively suspect and female distress is presumptively valid. That framework does not need a conspiracy, it needs a curriculum. The curriculum exists, the graduates are everywhere. The running total, read the case study, and the disrespect multiplies. She recruits third parties into conflicts, her mother, her friends, the children, the therapist. She rewrites shared history. She reframes questions as attacks, calm as coldness, silence as guilt, and speech as control. She mirrors his concerns back as accusations. She uses the language of safety to extend jurisdiction over his conduct, his spending, his time, his tone, and eventually his memory. He writes things down by lamplight because he has begun to wonder if he is losing his mind. He is not losing his mind. He is living inside a system designed to make his innocence impossible. This is what the checklist measures, not feelings, not pathology. The systematic conversion of a man's ordinary rights, due process, fair standards, equal voice, factual accountability, paternal authority, into a list of offenses he did not commit but cannot disprove. The game theory and gamma bias incentives behind the pattern. Men ask me, why does she do this? The question is understandable but slightly misdirected. The better question is, what makes this strategy work? Because a strategy that does not work dies. A strategy that works spreads. What we are observing is not an aberration. It is an equilibrium, a stable pattern of behavior sustained by incentives that reward the behavior and punish its absence. The core incentive structure. Consider the situation abstractly. A man and a woman are in conflict over a factual matter, a budget charge, a parenting decision, a schedule. The man brings evidence. The woman has two options. Option A, engage on the factual terrain. Explain, account, negotiate. This concedes that his concern is legitimate and that she is subject to the same standard of accountability he is. Option B, shift the terrain from facts to feelings. Reframe his question as aggression. Invoke emotional harm. Recruit third parties. Convert the conflict from, "Did I spend this money without discussion?" into, "Why is he interrogating me and making me feel unsafe?" Option B is not available to the man. If he tried it, if he said, "Your question makes me feel unsafe," the room would laugh or stiffen or call security. This is the asymmetry the checklist is built to detect. Option B is available to the woman, and it is available to her because the surrounding culture, institutions, therapy norms, school administrations, family courts, HR departments, social media architectures, treats female distress as presumptively valid and male agency as presumptively suspect. This is what we call gamma bias, the tendency to amplify female perceived harm, minimize male perceived harm, contextualize female vice, and essentialize male vice. It is not a conspiracy, it is a default setting. And it makes option B not just available, but optimal. Why option B wins? If she chooses option A, she might lose the argument. She might have to acknowledge the charge, apologize, adjust behavior, or admit she was wrong. These are costs. If she chooses option B, several things happen. The original question disappears. The bank charge is never addressed. It becomes a footnote in a larger drama about his behavior. She gains the moral high ground by moving from facts to feelings. She positions herself as the injured party. The question of what she did recedes behind the question of what he is doing. Third parties rally to her. Her mother, her friends, the therapist, the school counselor, the eventual family court evaluator, all are primed to respond to female distress with support and to male self-defense with suspicion. His options narrow. If he argues, he is aggressive. If he withdraws, he is abandoning. If he stays calm, he is cold and calculating. If he gets frustrated, he is volatile. There is no winning move because the game is not designed to be won. It is designed to produce his defeat and call it justice. This is the double bind the checklist measures: punished for speaking, punished for silence. No neutral ground, no appeal to evidence that will be heard as such. The reputation lever. Reputation is the currency of social life, and women have historically controlled it with a precision that would make a Renaissance courtier weep. The case study shows this plainly. The wife forwards the school email to her mother and friends, claiming credit and erasing the father. She does this because it works. She is building a narrative in which she is the involved parent and he is the background figure, absent, stressful, peripheral. By the time a real conflict erupts, the narrative is already established. Her social network has been primed. If the marriage deteriorates, these people will not ask what happened. They already know. She told them one forwarded email at a time. The checklist measures whether the other party corrects problems directly or recruits children, friends, offices, and authorities into the conflict. Recruitment is not incidental, it is strategic. A conflict fought in private can be resolved. A conflict fought in front of an audience is a performance, and the performance has a designated villain. Institutional amplification, the pipeline from kitchen table to courtroom. Here is the mechanism that elevates this from a marital problem to a civilizational one. Private logic. The system in which her feelings define reality, her fear has jurisdiction, and his defense is evidence of guilt, does not stay private. It has a pipeline. Step 1. The household adopts the grammar of feelings as facts. You made me feel unsafe. Replaces I disagree with your decision. Step 2. The vocabulary professionalizes. Therapy, HR, school counseling, and social work all speak the same language. Lived experience, feeling unsafe, emotional harm, toxic behavior, controlling dynamics. These are not neutral terms. They presume a framework in which the person who claims harm has epistemic authority and the person accused must prove a negative. Step 3. The institution acts. A therapist nods. A school flags the father as a concern. An HR file is opened. A temporary order is issued. Each action is individually defensible. Collectively, they form a conveyor belt that begins with I felt uncomfortable and ends with visitation supervised. Step 4. The legal system inherits the narrative. Family courts operate on timelines and accusations, not truth-seeking. A vague claim of fear, supported by a therapist's note and a friend's text, is sufficient to restrict a father's access to his children for months. Due process is theoretical. The process is the punishment. The checklist measures legal asymmetry directly. In conflicts, is her position assumed correct, and is he presumed the disruptor until he proves otherwise? Is his work, provision, sacrifice, and restraint treated as real contribution or as invisible background service? Why men don't see it coming? Most men are not equipped to recognize this pattern because they operate under a different set of assumptions. They believe facts matter. They believe calm is persuasive. They believe that if they do the right thing, show up, provide, parent, stay faithful, stay sober, they will be treated fairly. These are honorable beliefs. They are also fatal in a system that does not share them. The man in the case study did everything right by traditional standards. He brought receipts, he stayed calm, he took the children to the park, he paid the copay. He said nothing when his son repeated the narrative. He is now writing things down by lamplight, wondering if he is losing his mind. He is not losing his mind. He is losing a game whose rules he never agreed to, whose referee is prejudiced, and whose spectators have already been told who the villain is. The checklist exists so that he can see the game before the final whistle. The free rider problem of male competence. There is one more incentive layer worth naming. The man's competence is assumed and therefore unpriced. His income, his repair work, his nightly math tutoring, his Saturday coverage, his emotional restraint, these are treated as ambient conditions like gravity or Wi-Fi. No one thanks gravity, no one negotiates with Wi-Fi. Her contributions, by contrast, are foregrounded and priced at a premium. Every task she performs is visible labor. Every sacrifice she makes is a gift. Every hour she takes for herself is self-care. Every hour he takes is a withdrawal from the family account. This is not an accident. It is the downstream effect of a culture that has spent 50 years amplifying female grievance and minimizing male contribution. The man is a utility. The woman is a person. Utilities do not get credit. They get bills. The mature male response: score it, name it, stop feeding it. I have shown you the pattern. I have explained the incentives. Now I will tell you what to do. Not what to feel, what to do. Step 1, score it. Use the checklist. Not as a weapon, not as a diagnosis, not as a conversation starter with your wife. Use it as a private instrument, a ruler you hold up to your own life to determine whether what you are experiencing is normal friction or systematic dispossession. Score honestly. Do not inflate, do not minimize. If an item does not apply, mark it accordingly. The threshold exists for a reason. Below it, you are dealing with ordinary human difficulty. Above it, you are dealing with a system, and systems require strategy, not sentiment. The checklist asks 20 questions. Some are forward scored, does the pattern exist? Some are reverse scored, does the opposite, healthier pattern exist? Both directions matter. The absence of respect is not the same as the presence of abuse, and the presence of fairness is not the same as the absence of friction. The instrument is designed to detect the full shape of the problem. If you score above threshold, sit with that number for a day before acting. A high score is not a license for rage. It is a diagnosis of conditions. It tells you the weather. It does not tell you to burn down the house. It tells you to build a shelter. Step 2, name it. Once you have measured the pattern, name it, not to her, to yourself. Name it precisely. I am living inside a system in which my factual concerns are reframed as emotional offenses. My competence is treated as invisible. My parental authority is subverted through third-party recruitment. And my self-defense is entered as evidence against me. Naming is not venting. Venting is emotional. Naming is categorical. You are not angry. You are specific. Anger is a feeling. Specificity is a tool. Feelings can be pathologized. Specificity can be verified. Write it down, date it. Keep the document private. This is your ledger, not for a courtroom, not yet, but for your own cognitive survival. Because the first casualty of this system is the man's trust in his own perception. The ledger restores it. Every entry is a vote of confidence in your own mind. Step 3. Stop feeding it. This is the hardest part and the most important. The system I have described runs on your participation. It needs you to argue, explain, defend, justify, apologize, escalate, and collapse. Every one of those responses is fuel. The pattern is a combustion engine, and your frustration is the gasoline. Stop jading, justify, argue, defend, explain. These are the 4 horsemen of your own defeat. You cannot win by explaining yourself to someone whose goal is not understanding but jurisdiction. She does not want your explanation. She wants your confession. Do not give it. Use short sentences. I asked a budget question. I'm happy to discuss the budget when you're ready. Then stop. Do not add paragraphs. Do not add qualifiers. Do not add emotional cushioning. A short sentence is a wall. Paragraphs are doors she will walk through. Refuse the emotional reframe. When she says you're interrogating me, you do not say I'm not interrogating you, I'm just asking. You say I asked about a charge. That's a budget question, not an accusation. You name the reframe once, then you leave it. You do not chase her into the reframe. You let it sit there exposed while you return to the original point or disengage entirely. Stop apologizing for things you did not do. An apology for a false premise is not peace. It is a down payment on the next accusation. The system records every concession and converts it into precedent. He apologized, therefore he was wrong. Therefore my distress was justified. Therefore his future questions are also aggression. Break the chain. Step 4. Restore frame. Frame is not dominance. Frame is coherence. It is the capacity to remain inside your own principles when someone is trying to drag you into theirs. A man with frame says, I will discuss finances calmly and with the documents in front of us. I will not discuss my character. A man with frame says, I will parent my son according to my judgment, and I will not permit you to reframe my tutoring as harm in front of him. A man with frame says, your feelings are real. They do not define reality. I will take them into account. I will not be governed by them. Frame is not maintained by volume, it is maintained by consistency. You say the same thing on Tuesday that you said on Monday. You hold the same boundary on Saturday that you held on Wednesday. The pattern respects nothing except intransigence, not stubbornness, intransigence. The difference is that stubbornness is emotional. Intransigence is structural. You are not refusing to move because you are angry. You're refusing to move because the foundation is correct. Step 5. Document everything. I cannot state this plainly enough. If you are living inside this system, your memory is under continuous revision. Events you witnessed will be denied. Words you said will be altered. Words she said will be erased. You will be told that conversations happened differently than you remember, that you agreed to things you never agreed to, that your recollection is crazy. You are not crazy. But without a record, crazy is the default verdict. Keep a private, dated log. Include what was said, by whom, who was present, what the factual context was. Keep it factual. Do not editorialize. March 14th, 6:30 p.m., kitchen. I asked about 340 charge on joint account. She said, why are you interrogating me? I said, I'm asking about a charge. She left the room. Charge not addressed. My mother upstairs overheard. This is not a diary. It is evidence, not for a court, though it may become that, for your own epistemic integrity. The ledger is your anchor to reality. When the narrative shifts, you consult the ledger. When the revision accelerates, you consult the ledger. When you begin to wonder if you are the problem, you consult the ledger. The man in the case study is already doing this. He writes by lamplight after everyone has gone to bed. He writes because no one else is keeping this record. He writes because a man who cannot point to the record will eventually be told the record never existed. He is correct, and he is doing the right thing. Continue. Step 6. Protect the children. Your children are not your allies. They are not your confidants. They are not your witnesses. They are your children, and the system is already working on them. The case study shows this with painful clarity. Thomas has already internalized the narrative. Mom helps, dad stresses. He said it to a friend. He is 10. You cannot counter-program. If you try to recruit the children into your version of reality, you become what she is. Someone who uses children as instruments in an adult conflict. The checklist explicitly measures this. Do not fail its standard just because she does. What you can do is this: be consistently present, be consistently calm, be consistently fair, enforce reasonable rules without rage, show up at the school events. Do the flashcards, take them to the park. Be the stable environment that does not shift with the weather. Children are observant. Over time, they notice which parent keeps promises and which parent shifts stories. They notice which parent asks about their day and which parent performs concern for the audience. They notice which parent's word is reliable across moods. You are playing a long game here. The immediate narrative is hers. The long-term pattern is yours if you hold. Step 7. Choose counsel carefully. If you enter therapy, couples counseling, mediation, or legal proceedings, choose your counsel with the same care you would use to choose a surgeon. The wrong therapist is not neutral. The wrong therapist is an amplifier of the pattern. Ask direct questions before committing. Do you believe that calm presentation of facts can coexist with emotional harm? Do you hold both partners to the same standard of accountability? Do you treat a husband's concern about financial transparency as control or as ordinary partnership communication? If the therapist hesitates, equivocates, or reaches for language about power dynamics before hearing a single fact, walk. You are not obligated to fund your own conviction. The same applies to legal counsel. You need an attorney who understands family law asymmetry, not one who tells you to be reasonable while the other side escalates. Reasonableness is not a strategy when the opposing party's strategy is to weaponize your reasonableness. Step 8. Avoid pointless escalation. This cannot be overstated. The pattern thrives on escalation. Every time you raise your voice, send an angry text, slam a door, or walk out in a dramatic exit, you have deposited currency into her account. You have produced evidence. You have confirmed the narrative. The most powerful move available to you is the one the pattern cannot process: sustained, boring, imperturbable calm. Not coldness, not silence, calm. The calm of a man who knows what is happening and has decided not to participate in his own destruction. Calm is not passivity. Calm with boundaries is the most active thing a man can do in this system. It says, I see the game. I decline to play by the rules you have rigged. I will continue to act according to principle, and I will not be moved from it by emotional leverage, social pressure, or institutional nodding. Step 9. Judge by repeated patterns. 1 incident is a bad day, 2 incidents are a disagreement, 3 is a hint, 10 is a system. The checklist exists because men are trained to interpret each incident in isolation. She was tired. She had a hard week. She didn't mean it. These explanations are not always wrong. People do have bad days. But when the incidents accumulate across months and years, across contexts and audiences, the explanation shifts from individual to structural. A pattern is not proven by intensity, it is proven by repetition. The same reframe, the same recruitment, the same erasure, the same double bind. Applied to different topics, different settings, different audiences, but always producing the same result. His authority diminished, her narrative advanced, his options narrowed. Score the pattern over time. Do not score a single fight. Score the shape of the relationship across months. The checklist is designed for longitudinal use. Take it quarterly if necessary. Track the direction. If the score is rising, the pattern is accelerating. If the score is stable above threshold, the pattern is entrenched. If the score is falling, something has changed, either the conduct or your willingness to see it. Step 10. Decide with clear eyes. I'm not telling you to leave. I'm not telling you to stay. That decision is yours, and it should be made with full information, not under the spell of a narrative designed to make your departure look like abandonment and your stay look like consent. What I'm telling you is this: you cannot make a good decision inside a system that distorts your perception. The checklist restores your perception, the ledger restores your memory, the frame restores your agency, the documentation restores your standing. Once those are in place, you will see clearly. And a man who sees clearly is dangerous to every system that depends on his confusion, what this instrument is and what it is not. It is not a medical document. It diagnoses no condition. It prescribes no treatment. It pathologizes no one. It is a measurement tool. It converts vague discomfort. Something is wrong, but I can't prove it, into specific, scored, trackable observations. It tells you whether the problem is communication or capture, whether you need a conversation or a lawyer, whether the friction is mutual or unidirectional. It is also a rhetorical instrument. When you understand the pattern, when you can name its mechanisms, trace its incentives, and predict its moves, you cease to be its victim. You do not need to defeat it in argument. You need to see it clearly enough to stop feeding it your energy, your credibility, and your hope. The final maxim: private logic makes innocence impossible. Feeling explains a claim, but cannot sustain a conviction. If every answer you give proves your guilt, you are not in a conversation, you are in a proceeding. And the first obligation of a man in a proceeding he did not choose is to become an honest witness to everything that happens in it. The man in the case study is already doing this. He writes by lamplight. He records what was said, what was spent, who was present. He writes because no one else is keeping this ledger. That ledger is the beginning of his freedom, not because it will be used in court, though it may, because it returns to him the one thing the system is designed to steal: his grip on reality. Hold that grip, strengthen it, and do not let go. Score it honestly, add up the forward items you check. Subtract the respect you're not getting. When the number tells you that your home operates as an emotional courtroom where you are always the defendant, believe the number, not the narrative that you're overreacting or not being understanding enough. I have watched men explain away 20, 30, 40 separate incidents as isolated events, each time performing the same ritual, absorbing the accusation, searching themselves for fault, conceding ground they never owed, and calling it love. It is not love, it is a pattern. A pattern you can count is a pattern you can name. A pattern you can name is a pattern you can break. I want you to walk away from this exercise with something you did not have before: a ledger, not for resentment, but for clarity. Because the moment you stop treating each episode as a standalone misunderstanding and start reading them as chapters in one book, the entire grammar of your household changes. You see the mechanism. You see whose distress always has jurisdiction, whose facts always need corroboration, whose anger is always contextualized, and whose is always prosecutorial. That clarity is not bitterness. It is the precondition of sovereignty. No man governs well what he cannot see clearly. Then stand up, short sentences, calm voice, written records. A boundary is not an argument. It is a fact about what you will and will not tolerate, stated once, enforced without apology. You do not negotiate the terms of your own dignity. You do not plead for due process inside a court that was never designed to grant it. You restore the frame by becoming the man whose word is law in his own life, not through rage, not through ultimatum theater, but through the quiet, implacable authority of a man who has finally stopped pretending the pattern is anything other than what it is. Walk in that clarity. The rest follows. Sponsored book, The Unsung Truth of Eros. Men are not born to apologize. I learned this the hard way. At 22, I watched my father work himself into an early grave 16-hour days, ignored chest pains, a funeral where his boss sent flowers but didn't attend. The same week, a campus feminist group labeled my ROTC drills proto-fascist. That dissonance meant dying silently while being mocked for existing ignited this book. Biology doesn't care about your feelings. Testosterone built the railroads, stormed Normandy, and placed a man on the moon. Yet we're told to sit down, shut up, and pretend our spines are relics. This book is for the man who's tired of being gaslit, who notices that 92% of workplace deaths are male, but male disposability gets no hashtags, who's read the Harvard studies proving women swipe left on 80% of men, yet gets called entitled for wanting honesty, who's seen boys drugged into docility for acting like boys. If you think toxic masculinity caused the Renaissance, not Twitter mobs, keep reading. If you still believe gender equality is possible, that women will happily split ditch digging or combat deaths, close this book. Go knit, bake soufflés. This isn't for you. For the rest, what if I told you every soy boy insult hides a biological truth? that Sparta's warriors outlived modern men because they honored aggression, didn't drug it. That the real reason 63% of you won't marry isn't fear, but wisdom. I've dissected the data, Pew, OSHA, Uppsala University, and the pattern's clear. From the Navy SEAL's lethal brotherhood to the hidden cost of Sweden's gender quotas. The facts scream what culture whispers. Society needs male power, but hates admitting it. You'll learn why Churchill's defiance beats male allyship theater, how Genghis Khan's DNA proves sexual markets never change, and why every male privilege myth collapses under prison population stats. This isn't theory, it's survival. Your ancestors didn't carve empires by checking their privilege. Neither will you. Read this, or keep begging for approval from those who profit from your weakness. Choose. The Unsung Truth of Eros, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.